say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, American patriots, and welcome to the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. Whether you're watching me tonight on YouTube or Rumble or X or any of the other social media platforms we're on, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends and family about the show, and share our videos as well as the show and the channels on your social media pages. Starting tonight's show, I would like to formally address those that are registered Democrats and the liberals of society, although actually more towards the registered Democrats than the liberals, because I think they're completely lost and it doesn't matter what people like me have to say. But let's just address, for starters, those that consider themselves or are a registered Democrat. Today's Democrat Party is not your parents' Democrat Party. It's not the Democrat Party that I once was a proud member of. And the sooner today's Democrats wake up and actually listen to what is coming out of the mouths of the Democrat members of Congress, Democrat governors, and Democrat mayors, the sooner they will realize that their morals, values, and beliefs do not align with today's Democrat Party. Period. The average Democrat in America, it's not into politics. It's just out there trying to put food on the table, work one or two jobs, raise their children, take them to football practice, soccer, cheerleading, whatever the case may be. Spend your weekends barbecuing. Those regular Democrats out there, that's who this is addressed to. What you need to understand is 100% where the current Democrat Party is headed and what it's aligned with. And the sooner you realize this, the better off you will be and our country. Here's what today's Democrat leadership stands for. Open borders, allowing anyone into America without exception. Defund the police. Eliminate ICE and the Border Patrol altogether. All illegal aliens will receive the same benefits as American citizens. All illegal aliens will only get a slap on the wrist for committing crimes. Arrest and charge with murder any police officer that shoots and kills a black person, because they're guilty until proven otherwise. Close all jails and prisons. No bail for anyone who commits a crime. Just allow them out without posting bail. Limit the budget for our U.S. military and defense. Stop supporting Israel. Welcome with open arms communism, and socialism. Allow biological males to compete in all women's sports from elementary through college. Allow biological males in women's restrooms in all schools, all department stores, all government buildings. Allow biological males in all locker rooms in our schools. Allow public libraries in any and all schools, from kindergarten through high school, to openly have drag queen shows. Ban all guns, not just a scary black AR-15, but all guns. Rewrite the United States Constitution with updated liberal values. Erase from American history any and all things related to God, Jesus, and the Bible. And finally, anyone that supports Donald J. Trump must attend classes on liberal ideology and be reprogrammed before accepted into American communities. Don't believe me? Then you better open your eyes and listen. Open your ears and listen to the likes of Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Anita Presley, AOC, Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, Cory Booker, Hankins Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, Barney Sanders, Tammy Baldwin, Kristen Gilbride, Jenny Shaheen, Pete Aguilar, Ted Lieu, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and all Democrat governors and Democrat mayors across America. And then you tell me that you align your values, your morals, and your beliefs with today's Democrat Party. It's gone. It does not exist anymore. What existed just 10 years ago in the Democrat Party is gone. 20 years ago, way gone. 50 years ago, doesn't even come close to resembling it in any way, shape, or form. The time when John F. Kennedy was the president of the United States, that was a Democrat that had a backbone and balls and actually stood for something, stood for freedom, stood for America first, stood for all the things that the current Republican Party stands for. And today's Democrat Party has done a 180 against everything that's good for America. It's time you wake up. It's time you start listening to those in Congress and to the mayors, the city council members, the school board members, for crying out loud, and the liberal teachers across America and our school systems, and the Democrat governors. Listen to what they're saying. They're telling you where they stand. They're not hiding it. They're not trying to pull smoke and mirrors on you. They're blatantly coming out and being honest with you that they support communism and socialism 101. Now, if I've heard about Donald Trump pardoning the J6 people one more time about how horrible that is, how disgusting that is, how it's the biggest threat to our democracy, I will pull out all the hair in my goatee. Did anyone that was involved in J6 murder someone? No. Did they sex traffic women and children? No. Did they have on their possession with intent to distribute cocaine, methamphetamines, fentanyl? No. Did they have AR-15s and AK-47s or hand grenades or any type of explosive devices? No. What were they guilty of? They were guilty of basically trespassing, and some of them guilty of assaulting police officers. Now, for those that assaulted police officers, I have no mercy for them. They should not be pardoned. And there are still some that have not been pardoned that are sitting in prison today. But the majority of those that Trump pardoned, that the federal government rounded up and put in prison, did not commit anything other than trespassing. And yet, the Democrats in control of Congress, or those that are in Congress, not in control of Congress, but the Democrats in general in Congress, turn a blind eye when the left burns and loots cities and destroys shit and burns down police cars and buildings, attacks cops. They turn a blind eye to BLM and Antifa, the real threats to our democracy. So I want to take a moment to address the J6 pardons with what President Joe Biden did, that many of you Democrats out there, just your everyday Democrat, working to put food on the table, take care of your family, don't know because you just don't follow this shit. Or if you do, you're listening to MSNBC or CNN or the Washington Post, the liberal left-wing idiots spewing nonsense. So how many of you Democrats out there know that in 4 years, from 2021 to 2025, before he left office, Joe Biden conducted 4,245 acts of clemency, 80 full pardons, and 4,165 prison sentence reductions. Who were these people? Well, I've got the list of all of them, and you can get that list too at the Department of Justice. You can print it out just like I did directly from their website, and it will share with you everything you want to know about what Joe Biden thought was okay to pardon or reduce their sentence, or turn a blind eye and let them free. So let's look at a few. Beverly Ann Iben, IBN-Tamas, T-A-M-S, T-A-M-A-S. She was charged with second-degree murder with a firearm. Aman Hasbullah, conspiracy to unlawfully export technology to Iran to defraud the United States, unlawful export of technology to Iran, 7 counts. Razi Kafani, conspiracy to unlawfully export goods to Iran via the United Arab Emirates and to defraud the United States, unlawful exports and attempted unlawful export of goods to Iran via the United Emirates. 2 counts. Robert Hunter Biden. For those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024, including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted, including any that have resulted in convictions by Special Counsel David C. Weiss, and document number 123 CR 0061 in the United States District Court for the District of Delaware, and docket number 223 CR 00599 MSC1 in the United States District Court for Central District of California. Brandon Segargo Castrifly. He was in the United States Army. Absent without leave. He was AWOL for 7 days while he was strung out on LSD. Possession of LSD. Distributing LSD and cocaine. Tyranna Fulton, conspiracy to violate the Hobbs Act, 2 counts. Paul Jones Garcia was in the United States Navy. Intent to deceive, false documents, selling government property, and stealing government property. Kimberly Jo Warner, misuse of Social Security number with intent to deceive. And as Biden was about to walk out the door and turn it over to Donald J. Trump, Francis W. Biden, James B. Biden, Sarah Jones Biden, John T. Owens, and Valerie Biden Owens, for any offense against the United States which they may have committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st, 2014 through this date of the pardon, January 19th, 2025. Why? What could they have possibly done? Burisma comes to mind. Ukraine comes to mind. China comes to mind. Anthony Fauci, for any offense against the United States which he may have committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st, 2014 through the dates of this pardon, arising from any manner related to the service as director of the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Disease, as a member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, or the White House COVID-19 response team, or as chief medical advisor to the president. Why would you need to pardon Dr. Fauci? Mark Miley, U.S. military general, for any offense against the United States, including but not limited to offenses under United States Code, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which he may have committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st, 2014 through the date of this pardon, arising from any manner related to his service as Chief of Staff of the United States Army or Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Why would you do that? Well, let's see. Today marks the anniversary of why he had to be pardoned. And that is the catastrophe of the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan and the death of 13 more American service members that day. And here's the big one. Since we started talking about J6, the members of Congress who served on the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol, aka the Select Committee, the staff of the Select Committee, as provided by House Resolution 503 of the 117th Congress, and the police officers from the D.C. Metropolitan Police and the U.S. Capitol Police who testified before the Select Committee. For any offense against the United States which they may have committed or taken part in, from any matter related to the activities or subject matter of the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Why would they need a preempted pardon? Well, that's because he knew that Donald Trump would become president and install his Department of Justice and his head of the FBI and his head of the Homeland Security that could go in and find all the records, all the documents, all the emails to all these crimes that all these people committed and lied to Congress about. And the other 8,500, or pretty much with the exception of one or two that I saw, which was marijuana distribution, but the majority of the rest of them were big-time drug movers, traffickers of cocaine, of fentanyl, distributing cocaine and fentanyl, selling it on the streets, transporting it across our border, across our country. And many people that were in prison for assault and battery on women, on children, on police officers. That, my friends, is today's Democrat Party. Tell me, if you're a registered Democrat, that you align yourself with anything that I've said in the first 26 minutes of tonight's show. And then go fact check me. Please. I welcome you to. Today's Democrat Party is not the Democrat Party that I used to belong to or that your parents used to belong to. Today's Democrat Party are socialist, communist, crazy, far left, liberal ideology fucking nut jobs from hell that are hell bent on seeing the destruction of this country. And that is a fact. Prove me wrong. You can't. You can try, but you can't. Other than sharing with me links, sources, and URLs from far left liberal media. Don't go there. I won't even open it anymore. I'm not wasting my fucking time because I know the facts. When I sit here and I'm talking to this camera and this microphone, I'm telling you 100% what is factual information about the Democrat Party of today. And it's time that the regular Democrats out there wake the fuck up and realize that the leadership of your party is smoking Hunter Biden crack and want to see the destruction of everything we stand for, everything that our forefathers stood for and built. Remember Ronald Reagan saying that we're just one generation away from the extinction of the American dream? That generation is right now, and its leadership is in the halls of Congress in the United States government. President Donald Trump wants to drive down crime in some of the most dangerous cities across America. Democrats are furious, coming down hard once again on the wrong side of an issue that affects millions of Americans. And I can't wrap my freaking brain around why. Why would the leaders of high crime cities like Washington and Chicago object to the president helping to make their streets safer? They're panicked that Trump will succeed, exposing them in their inept, corrupt leaders they truly are. For decades, Democrats have struggled to overcome GOP accusations that they're soft on crime. In 1994, trying to combat that charge, President Bill Clinton then signed into law the most sweeping anti-crime bill in American history. And oh, he was a Democrat. It funded the hiring of 100,000 new police officers, authorized the construction of new prisons, and introduced a 3 strikes law mandating lengthy jail terms for repeated offenders. That was Democrats' high water mark for cracking down on crime. Since then, party leaders, including the former President Joe Biden, have apologized for the 1994 crime bill, now considered by the left to be racist and overly harsh, especially in the post-George Floyd era. Democrats have adopted policies such as defunding the police and no bail reform, which have made our cities more dangerous and favor criminals over American citizens, especially if they're an illegal alien criminal. Especially if, they came to America illegally, they could not read or write English, they could not see a street sign or roadway signs and interpret what they meant. And when they took the test to get their license to drive an 18-wheeler in America, California went ahead and gave them the license anyhow when they couldn't read our street signs or understand our street laws, and then drive across country, end up in Florida, try and make an illegal U-turn with a freaking 18-wheeler and kill 3 people. And the Democrats and liberals have managed to get over 3 million signatures to go lenient on this guy. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. President Trump is trying to reverse this horror. He is threatening to send troops to violent-prone cities and has just signed an executive order to eliminate cashless bail, a policy that sends criminals back onto the streets, often to offend again. Just as they did decades ago, Democrats are walking into a trap. resisting what most citizens applaud. In recent months, they have championed criminals in the country, illegally protested President Trump's deportation policies, and now they're opposing safe streets. It just doesn't get dumber than that. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, who's smoking Hunter Biden crack, greeted speculation that President Trump may soon send National Guard troops to the Windy City with an ex-post calling the move the most flagrant violation of our Constitution in the 21st century. He further boasted the city of Chicago does not need a military occupation. Actually, it does. I've been talking about the deaths and the crime in Chicago since I started doing this podcast years ago. One headline from this summer says it all. At least 55 people shot, 8 fatal in the 4th of July weekend. Chicago, once a prosperous and orderly city, has descended into lawlessness with a murder rate that keeps people sheltered in their homes at night. Though the number of killings has declined this year, Chicago still ranks among the most murder-prone cities in the United States of America. By mid-August, Chicago had suffered 254 homicides. The Chicago Police Department, well, not the police chief, but the federal order of police and the actual officers on the street are begging Donald Trump to send in federal forces. And the citizens, the family members that have kids that live in Chicago are begging Donald Trump to send in federal forces. In New York City, with a population nearly 3 times larger, there are only 201 murders in that same time frame. During the last mayor race in 2023, a poll showed that 2/3 of the city's residents didn't feel safe from crime. Asked to rank which issues were most important by choosing the next mayor, 44% said crime and public safety, by far the top issue. The economy and jobs came in at just 12%. They're more concerned about being murdered, raped, assaulted than they are about getting a job. Continued high crime is one reason polls show Johnson has the lowest approval rating of any mayor in the United States of America at just 26%. Johnson, 2 years into the job, is underwater with very radical and income group, despite making a big show of welcoming illegal immigrants and defying President Trump's ban on sanctuary cities. Johnson is unpopular with Hispanics and blacks, earning only a 26% approval rating. Though he has prioritized programs catering to minority residents, Johnson, who is black, also falls short with African Americans, of whom only 38% approve of the job he's doing. Black voters may dislike Johnson because the crime targeted by President Trump occurs mainly in their neighborhoods and they're black people doing the crime, black youth. The Chicago Crime Lab reports that black residents are 22 times more likely to be killed in this city than a white person. They also noted neighborhoods with the highest homicide rates experience approximately 68 times more homicides than those with the lowest rates. Johnson dismissed concerns about crime and said in an interview with NPR that President Trump sending in the National Guard would not be democratic, it would be illegal, and it would be costly. He also argued it would not bring Chicago's crime down and touted recent declines in violent offenses in the Windy City. Remember how I said he's smoking Hunter Biden crack? But across the U.S., yes, crime has dropped from post-pandemic levels. Chicago gains are not unique. And cities like Washington, Chicago, and Baltimore, another possible target mentioned by Trump, and we also know he's already doing it in Washington, are not safe. Sending in federal troops makes them safer. And it isn't only President Trump who has shown that to be true. In March of 2024, New York Governor Kathy Hochul deployed 750 National Guardsmen into New York City's subway to stem a deadly wave of people being pushed in front of trains and other horrible offenses. Subway crime dropped, and the governor appears to have no plan to remove the soldiers that are still patrolling those train stations as I speak. She explained, "I think people will tell you they feel much safer now." No kidding. That hasn't kept her from criticizing Trump, calling his initial deployment of 800 troops into D.C. a show of abuse of power to cut down on crime. The same fucking thing you did, bitch, with your National Guard and are still doing right now. But it doesn't apply to you. I think her and the mayor of Chicago are also hanging out with Hunter Biden, hitting that fucking crack pipe. She maintains that her situation was different because she had the cooperation of local officials. Get the fuck out of here. It is true that Washington Mayor Muriel Bowser has not supported Trump's effort to bring down crime in the district. In its earliest days, she sounded positive about the beefed up law enforcement presence, saying, "What I'm focused on is the federal surge and how to make the most of the federal officers that we have." Pushed by political allies to follow the anti-Trump playbook, her optimism evaporated, and she urged residents to make sure we elect a Democratic House so that we have a backup to the authoritarian push by Donald Trump. Authoritarian push that has seen crime in Washington plummet. No murders in the past week. President Trump is betting that the residents of city plagued by violence and theft will welcome his assault on crime. He's probably right. And the Democrat leadership need to wisen up and realize that just like with the border, just like with illegal aliens, just like with Israel, Iran, world peace, you're on the wrong side of history. A new report that was released last Friday by the Congressional Budget Office is surprising, even stunning. The CBO is not thought to be a friend of Republican presidents or Republican Congress. Questions always arise from supply siders about whether CBO rejects serious dynamic scores of developments in the law and in major regulatory actions. Whether the agent's methodology is issued a report on the Trump's tariffs at the close of last week, we project that increase in tariff implemented during the period from January 6, 2025 through August 19, 2025 will decrease the primary deficits, which include net outlays for interest, by $3.3 trillion if the higher tariff persists for the 2025 through 2035 period, Philip Swagel, CBO director, wrote, by reducing the need for federal borrowing, those tariffs collections will also reduce federal outlays for interest by additional $0.7 trillion. As a result, the changes in tariffs will reduce total deficit by $4 trillion altogether. Free traders should be scratching their heads as they review all the data, including that the CBO update. Inflation has not spiked. Growth has not plummeted. The revenue from tariffs is enormous. An international trade war has not broken out. The sky's not falling. One of these things just doesn't belong here. One of these things just isn't the same, goes the old Sesame Street song that we all remember growing up to. So maybe, just maybe, we free marketeers ought to consider that perhaps, just perhaps, President Trump has been right about tariffs all along. America's strength relative to that of our trade partners and the impact of non-tariff barriers to trade. You think? I checked in with old friends of the free market economists, Dr. Richard McKenzie, professor of economics, University of California, Irvine's, the Paul Mergent School of Business. He's following the data, but is unconvinced. For the moment, however, he does agree that Trump would make world trade freer with the threats he's been making towards these countries with tariffs. And as we know, they all ran to Washington, D.C. Well, they didn't run. They flew in airplanes from their countries to make deals. Remember all the crap that we've been hearing from CNN and MSNBC and all the experts on the economy that they were bringing on about how Trump is going to totally destroy our economy with these tariffs? It's over with. We're going to implode. Just the opposite is taking place. A Florida mom is calling out the toxic environment of a major public school district after her child's teacher nominated her son for a most likely to become a dictator award. What motivated me to go to the State Department of Education is that I've had numerous run-ins with this school district. Florida mom Crystal Merle said in an interview on Friday about her experience with Alachua County Public School in North Central Florida. During Wednesday's State Board Education meeting, she called out the public school system and highlighted her personal examples where she said that her children have been treated unfairly. My son, who's 6 years old, was prohibited from sitting next to his friend on the school bus because a parent objected to my perspectives of book challenges. She said during the meeting, she did not want books that talk about sexual orientation stuff to children, to 6-year-olds in the school. Speaking of an incident that happened in the fall of 2023, in May of 2023, she said her older son was also targeted for his beliefs. My older son's history teacher allowed the students in the class to label him a Nazi fella simply for his interest in history and participating in ROTC. She later nominated my son as most likely to become a dictator when he grew up, and then had the class vote on it, and tried to force him to come to the front of the class to receive the certificate, which she had made up, which he rightly refused, all because of his conservative values. She said her older son didn't take the incident too seriously. His feelings weren't hurt. He found it very inappropriate. But you know, he's a typical teenage boy. He's going to try to laugh it off and not show if it really does hurt him more deeply or not. He kind of let it roll. I was far more concerned because I believe it spoke to a larger problem within that classroom and the school. It spoke to the problem that it appeared that his teacher was not equipped to be teaching history, as she didn't seem to appreciate history. Gainesville High School history teacher Lauren Watts, who was placed on leave last week, gave that kid the most likely to become a dictator award and allowed the students to call him a Nazi fella. Lauren Watts, a teacher. She also said she raised the event her children had experienced at a Wednesday night hearing because she was trying to point to a pattern of abuse behaviors of the school district towards conservative families. The Florida mom, who is the coordinator for the online Spanish program at the University of Florida, has been critical of sexual explicit books in the school system. She alleged that one of the texts that had been found in the library graphically depicted a teenage boy sexually violating a younger boy. Other parents in the county public school system have also been critical of the district. Former parent Jeremy Clipper said in a statement that Sarah Rockwell, chair of the public school system, needs to resign because of her comment, "Good, one less MAGA in the world." Says she wants all MAGA dead, referring to Hulk Hogan's death last month. Merle said she didn't try to reach out to the school board about the incident with her children, but they were not responsive, or she did try and reach out, but they would not respond. I've complained to the teacher, to the principal, and to the school board, and no one from the principal to the school board ever followed up on the issue, she said. So it did happen 2 years ago. It was in May of 2023, and the reason I brought it up at the meeting is I was trying to point to a pattern of abusive behaviors of the school district towards conservative families. A statement released by the public school system said the district is investigating the incident. The district added, the employee involved has been placed on administrative leave while the investigation is underway. In the meantime, any information about the incident is confidential under Florida Statute 231.291. That's one school district in Florida. You know how many school districts, elementary through high school in America, are doing the exact same thing to our youth? Hundreds, if not thousands. And damn near every university in America is doing the exact same thing. Those of you that have been following me from the beginning, you've heard me say it many, many times, that the biggest threat to our country is actually the fact that we allowed liberal ideology to infiltrate our school system and start indoctrinating our children into communism and socialism beliefs and liberal ideology from hell. Now, I've talked a hell of a lot tonight about Democrats and liberals. Now I'm going to talk about something that Donald Trump is doing that I don't agree with. I've said this many, many times. I don't care what your political belief is. I don't care if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're an independent, if you're conservative, liberal. I don't give a shit. If we send you to Washington, D.C., whether it's to Congress or to the White House, or to be a governor or a mayor, and you're doing stupid shit, you need to be called out on it. Now, Trump supporters aren't going to like what I'm about to share with you. I don't like to have to share this, but you need to be aware of it. Does it mean I'm not going to support Trump? Fuck no, it doesn't mean that. He's the best thing that's happened to us since Ronald Reagan. But sometimes he does things that just don't add up. I can't wrap my head around it. And this is one of those things that many of you probably don't know anything about. Because what he said about this topic since he's been elected president and what he's now saying is a 180. This just came out of fucking left field. Slapped me upside the head. Wait a minute. What did you just say? President Trump has ignited conservative backlash after saying he will allow 600,000 Chinese students to come into America and attend our universities. How many of you knew that? Just last week, he wanted to ban anyone coming from China to our schools or any foreign country to our schools. Put American students first. That's what he told us. Trump's comments come aimed trade talks with China. And backers of the plan could be necessary to keep certain universities afloat. Others say it could hinder opportunities of American students. We're going to allow their students to come in. It's very important. 600,000 students. It's very important. We're going to get along with China, Trump said. Trump expanded on his comments during a cabinet meeting at the White House today. I think it's very insulting to say students can't come here because they'll go out and start building schools and they'll be able to survive it. But I like the fact that students come here. I like that other country students come here. And you know what would happen if it didn't? Our college systems would go to hell very quickly. And it wouldn't be the top colleges, so it'd be colleges that struggle on the bottom. And you take out 300 or 600,000 students out of the system just because they're from a foreign country, Trump said. I like having them, and I told this to the China president, that we're honored to have their students here. Now with that, we check in carefully to see who's there. He added, many immigration groups and conservative voices on social media voiced their opposition to this proposal. We should not let 600,000 Chinese students to attend American colleges and universities that may be loyal to the Chinese Communist Party. And we know they are. It's a proven fact. It's been proven not only by the FBI under Democrat leadership, but also Republican leadership. If refusing to allow these Chinese students to attend our schools causes 15% of them to fail, then the public school should fail because they're being propped up by the Chinese Communist Party. Granting 600,000 student visas to Chinese nationals threatens to put foreign students ahead of U.S. graduates. The focus now must be on reforms to limit access to sectors critical to our economy and national security that have repeatedly been targeted to cooperate espionage and intellectual property theft, not to expand access to hostile countries. Educating foreign nationals should never be put before the interests of U.S. citizens and ensuring that our nation thrives. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick spoke further about Trump administration views on the matter when he was on the Ingram Angle on Fox News. With all due respect, how is allowing 600,000 students from the communist country of China putting America first? Laura Ingram asked. The president's point of view is that what would happen if we didn't have those 600,000 students is that you'd empty them from the top. All the students would go to a better school, and the bottom 15% of universities and colleges would go out of business. He's taking a national economic view, which is classic Donald Trump, Luckton added. Many suggested that the free market should come into play with these colleges that could be at the potential financial risk. Then let them go under. What is this madness? So we don't want more Chinese students, or Iranian students, or Saudi Arabian students, or Venezuelan students, or Mexican students, or North Korea, or South Korea, or any other students. America first. That's the agenda I voted for, and you voted for. 15% going under. 15% of our colleges having to close their door because the majority of their students are foreign nationals, and that's a bad thing? They shouldn't be in business any fucking how. Trump's team is not capable of defending his Chinese student visa program, conservative lawyer Marina Mehta posted on X. That's because they don't actually want it either. It's hard to sell something you don't like. Trump has been telling us since he was elected that he's against what now, Friday and today, he's now for. So this is absurd. American universities shouldn't need an influx of foreign students in order to stay alive. If they can't survive on American enrollment, then let them fail. Plus, Chinese students, we know this from the FBI and the Department of Justice under Democrats and Republicans, steal our research and send it to the Chinese Communist Party. Conservative commentator Liz Wheeler unleashed on the Trump White House, saying these Chinese students should be banned. Chinese students are spies for the Chinese Communist Party. That's what Donald Trump's been telling us since he got elected in January. What changed? Oh, he's talking about trade with the China president. And in order to get tariffs equal with China, they said you have to allow our students to continue coming to university. That's what changed. They're stealing our intellectual property. They're stealing our technology. They steal our intel. They cozy up to our military. They buy up our real estate around our military bases. Trump should ban all Chinese students from U.S. universities and deport every damn one of them. This is the dumbest explanation I've ever heard in my life that these universities would go under. Who fucking cares? If you rely on foreign students to keep your school afloat, how is that putting America first? If you want to save America, you have to rise the university system. Perfect chance to start right now. Others agree with Lachlan's perspective on the issue, saying that it could actually help the United States bring in more talent domestically. This is not as horrible as people are making out to believe. Chinese students on U.S. visas aren't average kids. They represent the top tier of China's youth. Podcast host Josh Reed posted on X. On the other side, we're hosting China's future leaders, scientists, and innovators, which also means that American culture returns home with them. When you start to think about the emergent tech, this is actually a great idea. Bring the top level students over to the U.S. and put them in our school system. This is talent that is pulled away from China and now becomes a national asset, Reed added. At the conclusion of Lachlan's interview with Lauren Ingram remarks that American engineer students should be given top priority in the job market, not those from China, which are currently getting the top jobs. Does it mean I don't support Donald Trump anymore? No, it doesn't. What it means is if you do something stupid, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you need to be called out on it. And Republicans and conservatives need to be as upset as I am tonight over this and reach out to your members of Congress and reach out to the White House and say, this is not acceptable. You told us this wouldn't happen, and all of a sudden, to appease the China president, you're going to allow 600,000 Chinese spies, potentially, to come back into this country and steal our technology, buy up our fucking land around our military bases, spy on America. And we know this to be fact from the FBI and the Department of Justice under both Democrat and Republican presidents. I just call it out as I see it. I will still support Donald Trump. I still believe he's the best thing that's happened to us since Ronald Reagan. He still has my backing. But when he does something stupid like this, I would fail you and myself if I wasn't honest with you and told you that this is dumb. Now, those that are so freaking hard right MAGA are probably unsubscribed to my fucking show now because, oh, I'm now a traitor. No, you are. If you think it's okay to do something like this just because Donald Trump said it, then you have to look deep into your soul. You really do. He's not your God. He's a man like we are that's done great things for America in his first 4 terms. And he's done things with this country in the past 8 months that have done nothing but good for this country. He has done some of the most just unbelievable things. Everything he ran on. He's the first president in my life that said, if you elect me, this is what I will do for you. He's doing it. He's killing it. He's knocking it out of the park. And then he does something like this. No, don't tell me trust the plan. This is dumb. And I really do believe that in the very near future, I'll be coming on here and telling you that Donald Trump has reversed course and he's not going to do this. He's not going to allow these 600,000 potential Chinese spies to infiltrate our colleges across this country. How and who got into his head to come up with this brilliant idea is beyond me. But I think he's about to hear from enough conservatives and Republicans that this is stupid and do the right thing, which is what he told us just a few weeks ago and has been telling us since he got elected, that China is a threat to us. And he wasn't going to allow this to happen. Anyway, I'm only here to tell you the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. I might tell you some things that you don't like. I might tell you some things that you don't agree with. But you're going to hear the honest truth. And it's coming from my heart and my soul and every fiber in my body, regardless of what political party you align with. Facts matter. I'll be back on Thursday night for another live show. I hope that you will join me. Wherever you're watching me tonight, whether it's YouTube or Rumble or X, please like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your family and friends. Tell them about the show. And remember that the threats to our democracy and our life are flourishing in this country thanks to the 4 years of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. There are people out there right now waiting to kill you and me. And thankfully, we have Donald Trump, who is supporting our law enforcement and is supporting our military and is trying to take back the streets of America to make things safer. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, and their families. Our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America, and may God bless each and every one of you. Have a wonderful evening. If something breaks of major importance to American patriots between now and Thursday, I'll be sure to do a show about it, whether it be live or a video. Until then, God bless you and have a wonderful and safe evening.